Lifestyle and bio.
You're around.
So let me tell you where you lose me at. I think lifestyle and social status wouldn't be biological. I think biological it would be based off like physical characteristics. So like when they talk about that's just my personal opinion. I know we operate that way, but I think that might be the perversion in the game, like the thing that messes up. Because when you look at like the rest of the animal kingdom, they don't base it off which animal has the best cave, is which animal has the most attractive attributes that they want to transfer to the next generation.
So I
So
agree with that. So I think that what we do is we base off what a person has off of what he had to do to get there, right? I think it's just I don't think that you look at what he has. I think that you look at, okay, if he has this, he had to have been this kind of person to attain to, to get that. Not necessarily, because there are some people who don't look at material things and they can really care less, right? But we have to say that if a person has maintained this business or he's acquired this, there must be something about him, his personality, his ambition, that he was able to do this. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't think it's necessarily about the material. Now, for everybody, for some women it is, but for the uh, some other women, I think it's just knowing that he has it in him to do this. It's something sexy about a go getter or a person who is of that, you know, has
So,
those characteristics.
so I think it is biological and I think it is resources, right? So what Marcus said about the most attractive attributes, a lot of the times with a lot of the animal kingdom, it's strength and size. And what strength and size gives you is more access to resources, right? And so I think that it is a biological imperative, but I think the same way that Shane was talking about how the men are now in a candy store due to social media, I think women are overestimating how high up the hypergamous chain they can actually go. And I think that's where the men are complaining about it of like, listen, you're trying to jump 10 ranks when you're down at this rung. Going up
That's
one
true.
or two gives you here, right? But I wanted to circle back when AP was talking about men not changing. I found that really interesting because earlier in the conversation you were talking about the fatherless homes. That's the biggest change. This changed the dynamic is that now women are vetting on their own without a man who's able to help them navigate that system. That young lady's going through dating fatigue, right? I don't think she's done. I know exactly how she feels. I have been there in the past myself. She just needs a timeout. She just needs to stop dating because right now she's going from one person to the next because of the pressure to meet somebody by a certain time, and she's overexhausted with the process. And because she's overexhausted, she's not equipped to actually make healthier decisions. She's giving time and attention to people that if she was in a better headspace, she could suss out a little bit better. Without a man there to help assist in that process,
Mm.
it's that much more grueling of a task for a woman to do it on their own. And the more tired they are, the more susceptible they are to making mistakes, which then just kind of puts them in a cycle. I think she just needs a timeout. She needs to take a year or two off of dating, just keep to herself, replenish her energy, and just kind of go into it with fresh eyes.
Should have clarified. You're right. Good call out. I should have clarified. We haven't changed much at our core as it pertains to what we want and need and our expectations in a relationship. That has been pretty consistent over time. That's a good call out.
But there was a safeguard, right? Men haven't changed, but there was that safeguard that helped women not have to deal with quite as much as of that, right? Obviously there were women who did not have that, whether they had fathers or not, right? There are women who just naturally are rule
you
break.
broke up. Is that safeguard the patriarchy?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I was gonna say, I think men have changed. I mean, we're in an environment. The conversations that we're having right now would not have happened years ago because men didn't talk. right? So those are areas too that I feel that men are more expressive. They're more, I would say, some are in becoming a little more emotionally um, mature, intelligent, things like that. But the other aspect is that there are some men, and we've had conversations before, and I hear y'all say that a lot about men have become more feminine. So, in that regard, that is an area in which men have changed. The other thing that I noticed too with men, and AP, you were saying this earlier too, is that men are not being men. So that's an area in which I think we have run into more men that are like that. You know what I'm saying? So, but the flip side about being more emotionally in tune and things like that, the good side about that is that the men who are there for their children, I've seen a different type of father with as a man in this day and age versus in the past, like times how Marcus have the kids, like you wouldn't, back in my day, you would not have seen men interact with their children like that. So I think that's a good aspect in which men have changed as well. It's not just all negative. I've seen some attributes of men that have changed that have been for the better. And that's one example of that.
Winnie said something last night that that I happen to agree with. He said, and Marcus can correct me if I misquote him. He said, "Life is about choices and trade-offs." And to your point, mistaken, yes, men are more in, those that are involved are more involved. Um, I will completely agree with that, as I myself have been a bit more involved in. Anyway, but the trade off for that is time at work, which means somebody else has to work, like in order to pull the rest of that weight. We know who else. There's only one other person in the home. When there's a man and a woman there's only one other person there to help pull some of that weight, and that's the woman. Also, in regards to men being more feminine, not all men. Like I believe it's actually a minority of men that have been bamboozled and become more feminine. Most of those, I would say, were raised by single moms. I'd need to see the study or a stat on it, but it goes right back to what I said earlier. Where the fuck are these men at? Like where were the men for me? And it's only gotten worse generation after generation. That is truly my opinion. And men have either become more emotional, and I won't even say emotionally intelligent, I'll say more emotional, or feminine. And those of us that are not, we are viewed as toxic. And that's a term that men have accepted. It's crazy to me. But anyway, I still stand by what I said earlier. And as I said, as I clarified, at our core, we still want the box. And those that can get it, get it. Like that's been consistent. Except for those that don't.
Yeah, but when do you want more than just the box?
Eventually you get to a place as a man where you want more than just the box. Or you don't.
That was hilarious.